Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Welcome back to the show. We are so excited to have our matchmaker joining us here today. Go to coco-matchmaker.com. And you're right, Coco is joining us today to talk more about the work she does as a contemporary matchmaking service for the single person looking to meet other select upscale professionals. So we are excited to have you, Coco, hailing from beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada. Welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Well, we are excited to have you here. Would you mind telling us just a little overview about the work you're doing?
Sure. We are a full service agency, matchmaker dating service located here in Las Vegas. And what we do is we help our clients every step of the way. So we don't leave them hanging. So in other words, we do matchmaking, wardrobe styling, image styling, date coaching. We talk about what topics they should discuss, what they shouldn't discuss, the do's and don'ts of dating. So it's the full gamut.
Beautiful. So I know you specialize with those in Las Vegas and also is it Laguna Beach, California?
Yeah, and we actually are doing the whole, basically the West Coast. So we're doing Phoenix, Scottsdale, Laguna, Newport, La Jolla, LA area,
Well,
Utah.
perfect. Well, I'm on the website. I urge everyone to do the same. Coco, COCO-matchmaker.com. And I love your quote here. Why not meet Miss or Mr. Right instead of Miss or Mr. Temporarily Wrong?
Thank you. That's
By the
right.
way, you're all over social media as well, right? What platforms do you want to share? I knew it's Instagram is Coco Matchmaker. You're on Facebook as well.
Yep, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter. And for Facebook, it's Coco.VIP Matchmaker. And Twitter is Coco Matchmaker. And then we have the YouTube Coco VIP Matchmaker and Coco Matchmaker on Instagram.
Beautiful. Okay, first and foremost, I want to find out more about you, the lady behind the service. Let's get to know you, Coco. Tell us a little about where you're from and give us a little bit of your background.
Sure. I am from Connecticut originally, born and raised. My parents are from Westchester County in New
Okay,
York.
cool.
And so, yeah, East Coast. So I relocated out here in 92, and I've had a background basically in hospitality and sales. So I've been in real estate. I've done, when I was younger, cosmetics and perfume industry. And I decided to get into the matchmaking because I like helping people. So I figured there was a great need for this with singles not being able to interact at work and meet other people. Sometimes they have rules and restrictions, so I felt a need for it, and I'm just feel very passionate about it, and I feel that it's my niche. I'm feeling comfortable with it. I love doing it.
Beautiful. And let me ask, when did you start this company?
I started about 8 years ago here in Las Vegas.
Oh, wow. That's got to be
Yeah.
exciting. And let me just ask, I mean, during the pandemic, did things die down or did things heat up? Because people are now online looking for love.
I think, yeah, it's a good question. For me, it was something that we kind of stopped just because we have them go out socially and we have them go out in public spaces. So during the pandemic, obviously, with everything being shut in the casinos and hotels and everything, local restaurants, we kind of took shut it down for that time. But I think it heated up on the internet, as you said. So, people were definitely lonely, looking for things to do, looking for connections, and we jumped right back into it right after the pandemic.
Got it. Well, good to hear. So tell me a little bit about the matchmaking process and how it works to even, sign up on your website. Give us a little bit of the details of how it does work.
Yeah, we have a form on the website so people can reach out and contact us, and then we call them back and get a hold of them, and we set a personal free consultation. So over the phone, I go through a little bit of questioning, and then when they come into the actual office, it's about an hour appointment. It's a screening and profiling process where we determine what they're looking for, what their needs are, their background, what types of relationships they had in the past, and we diagnose them almost like a doctor, and we find out exactly what they need, and then we also, in that diagnostic process, we find out what we think they need, because basically some people think they need something, but they really don't know. So that's where we come in to help them and target what they really need and what they're looking for.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. And now we're talking about you're helping. Is it also same sex? Is it open to everyone, or how does it work? Or is it male, female? Tell us a little bit about that part.
Yeah, right now we're just doing male and female, although in the
Okay.
future we might open it up a little further. So right now it's strictly male and female. They come in, like I said, for the appointment, and we diagnose, and we have people that are full members. We have one level, which is the full membership. And then we also have something called our dating pool. So people get the opportunity to go out with our members at a lesser price. So they can do either or. But obviously, the full service is for the full membership, and that is for a year. And those people are the ones that we specifically work with and guide them to help find the true love or their match.
Oh my gosh. Can we talk about some of your success stories? Could you share?
Sure. I had one gentleman that came into the club, and of course, he was kind of hemming and hawing and talking on the phone. And, everybody wants to know about what, obviously questions what it's about. And we went through that whole process. Then he came in, and I had hand selected several girls for him. So we sent him out on one date, and that went all right. And we sent him out on, I think it was the second or third date in, and he actually married the girl. So
Oh
it
my
was a,
goodness.
yeah, it was interesting. She was a travel agent and they got married. They had a lot in common, being from the
Oh,
same area in California and everything.
wow. What a success. I mean, I feel like it's like a reality show. Are you guys in the talks to have a reality show one day on this? Because this is good
Yes, I would
stuff.
love to. I've got to get some connections. Actually, I've gone back to university to try to do that, and I took journalism classes, and then I wound up liking it so much I became a wedding officiant because I
Come
shadowed.
on.
Yeah, so I'm actually a reverend. I can actually perform the ceremonies, and on top of that, I was at UNLV and I took marriage and family therapy, so I'm doing relationship coaching also.
Wow. Oh my God, this is great. This is going to be a great show. All right, all right. So tell me, more about the process. This is exciting. People putting themselves out there on the line, but also the angst and the anxiety that goes into this because we have to be our true selves. Is everyone welcome? Like, people might feel, "Well, I'm not pretty enough or I'm not in shape enough, but there's shapes and size and people for everyone. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Everybody is welcome. It doesn't matter what your weight is or what your height or any of those factors, because true love really comes from the inside out. And that's why we don't use photos. Right at the present time, I do take photos of my clients. I do have some online, but we're not showing photos. So this is more of a blind date scenario. I'm really glad you asked that, because what happens is a lot of men come in and they think it's like a candy store. And unless their name is Hugh Hefner, and of course he's already dead, so they're not Hugh
Yeah.
Hefner, they're not getting that 21-year-old. So the reality of it is you have to speak to them, you have to find out what their needs are, and then you have to determine based on what they're talking about. And sometimes we have to give them tough love and get them back into reality because they're just not being realistic, men and women alike. So that's what we do.
Amazing. Well, I love the concept of this whole thing. Out there nowadays, it's like, how do you meet people? It's so hard. People talk about, social media, and there's all these apps, and I'm not an app person. But, let's talk about that because this way it's very exclusive. Like, do you share how many, like, pool of men and, women do you have? And, what else do you want to share for us today about
Well,
you and the services?
yeah, I don't go into numbers. And the reason I don't do that is because not only do we use our database, which is local and international as well as throughout the West Coast and other areas in the United States, but the reason I don't do that is because it doesn't really matter when someone calls, they don't realize they're not going to match with everybody in my service. They're looking for something very specific. So we go hand select and hand pick within our database and outside. I mean, I've even judged the Wet Republic bikini contest here. So we
Yeah.
have very different ways and very cool ways of meeting and connecting with the people. And we go hand select and pick. That's why this is more of a full service agency. We don't give them the girl's number, vice versa. We don't give the girl the man's number. So nobody's bugging anybody. On the third date, if they find they like
Hmm.
each other, then the number gets released.
Ooh. Now, what brought you into this field? I know you mentioned the sales you were into and you were in real estate, you were in so many different aspects. How did the relationships fascinate you? And do you mind sharing a little bit about your background with relationships? Like, hey, I don't know anything about you yet. So tell me, are you divorced, married, dating? What is your situation? And
I'm
how do you
married and
use
I
your smart and insights, yeah, to help others?
Okay, great. I've been married and I've been with somebody for, my husband actually for about 30 years. So we've been together quite a long time. And I just feel that I connect with men and I know what they're looking for and I know what they want. And I think that's what makes me so good at this because it's a natural vibe that I have. And it's just a knack that I have. And the real reason I got involved in this, and it's kind of funny, was I was watching another matchmaker reality show on TV and I thought it was so great and so funny. And I said, she was out of New York. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to do this. This is fantastic. And that's how I started my business.
Amazing. I love it. So the secret to the success to be married for 30 years, I commend you on that. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Really not an easy feat. What would your husband say about you? What would he say makes you so unique and why you're so great at this job?
Well, I think my husband always calls me a lawyer, which
Uh-huh. That's
I'm not
so
really a lawyer, but he thinks the way I talk or whatever, carry myself or something. But it's funny because my husband is from Europe and, you know, there is no perfect relationship and people have to understand that. And yes, we argue. Yes, we fight, but you've got a hot, steamy Italian and a hot, steamy Greek. So this is what happens. But that's what keeps us together. We know we're not going to be chopped up in the garage because we just say it the way it is. And in a relationship, there's gives and takes and you work. It's a job. You always have to work at it. And that's really what keeps you together, knowing who your
amazing.
partner is. Yeah.
Amazing. And it's clearly you guys have what it takes. You seem very together, feisty, but what is the dynamic? What do you have to tell us about men? Tell us ladies out there some secrets about men that we should be aware of. But what are we not getting? Why are we getting this wrong? And I say we, and because I'm troubled. I've never been married. I have a 7 and 9 year old. I have serious relationship problems for sure. So I'm
We'll
just
help you out,
honest
Jill.
about it. Yeah, I may need your help. Thank you. But now it's like 7 and 9. I'm like, who wants to date a woman with 2 kids? And it's not the most delightful dating pool because it's like, okay, this girl doesn't have time for me. She's not going to have sex with me because she's so busy as a single mom. So it's like, okay, what do I have to offer? I need someone who may be like widowed, who needs help with their kids and family. I don't know. We'll talk about me another time, but tell us a little bit more.
Well, actually, in speaking about it, there are plenty of men out there who are looking, never been married, who are older, who are actually looking for women, and they don't mind having the kids. So they're looking for women with children, or maybe someone younger who can have children. So that's not an issue at all. We can take
Okay.
that right off the plate. So
All
that's good
right. There's
news.
someone for everyone. Thank you. Yep. Good to hear that.
Right. And the other question that you had,
Oh gosh, I forgot at this point. I rambled for a little bit, but that's okay. Don't we all?
yes, we do.
Oh my goodness. I forgot what I asked. It doesn't matter. What do you want to talk about? This is your show and it's about you and your business and your company and how it all works. I just love hearing it. I mean, do you have like mixers and do you have like little parties and events like that, or is it all privately like dating?
Well, we have a private membership club, but we do have mixers. Right now, we don't have anything on calendar, but we're going to start gearing that up. And the reason for that is here in Las Vegas, there's so many different things that people can do, and everybody knows that because it's such a fabulous, fantastic place here. So what we have to do is get the numbers in order to have the events. But we have done mixers in the past. So we've done singles mingles, we've done Valentine's parties. I was asked by the Light Group to come on the strip and do a big party at Diablo's. So we've done that. And we are going to gear up and do some power speed dating events and some other single mixers that you mentioned. But there's a whole gamut of things that we can do to get people out, dinners and so forth. And it's just a matter of getting the amount of people in to go to those events. And like I said, we've had them in the past.
Now, since you are a relationship expert, tell us about some of the mistakes that men or women are making. Give us some advice, give us some tips. What are we doing wrong? What are we doing right?
Absolutely. That's what we were talking about before. Okay, I'm
That's,
glad
yes,
we
it's
came back.
coming back.
Right, it's coming back. Okay. So the first thing is that it's like talking Chinese and Japanese. Men talk one way, women talk another. Men hear one way, women hear another. Women kind of tend to ramble on and go in circles and most of them don't directly say what we want. You don't say, well, I just want you to tell me I love you. You're rambling around and around and the guy can't figure out what you're talking about. So it gets really confusing because the men hear what you're saying and will do what you want. And if you say him to take it slow, excuse me, if you tell him to take it slow, he's going to take it slow. So then you come to me and say, well, why is he taking it slow? Well, that's just what you instructed him to do. So the thing about it is that you have to be very direct with men and not go around in circles because it's a lack of communication and they don't understand what you're looking for. That's part of the whole issue. And then the other thing is the women come into the office with a list, which is pretty much ridiculous. And they have to throw the list in the garbage because that's not going to work. And you're not driving the man's car. If he likes you, he's going to buy you your own car. So stop trying to determine what he's got or what he doesn't have, because if he loves you, he's going to buy you whatever you want if he's got the means.
Yeah.
And a lot of things are silly. And the men think they're going to, be with somebody who's they're trying to be with a younger person sometimes and relive their past, but that's not how it's done. So there's a lot of different things that we have to coach them and diagnose, because in order to get someone, you have to look within the person. It's not all about the exterior. For example, if a man is complaining because the woman is wanting so much, well, then stop dating a Barbie doll. Stop dating someone who's so materialistic.
Yep.
If they're materialistic, then guess what? It's going to cost you a lot of money. Close the
Hmm.
bank, close the vault. You
Yeah.
have to tell them that you've got the means, but maybe your monies are tied up right now in a business proposition, so that they understand that it's not all about high maintenance.
Yeah. But there are some guys who want that, right? It's something for
Absolutely.
everyone. Really, there is. And
There is something for everyone, and there's nothing wrong with being high maintenance, but you just have to connect with the right partner. But if that's what you're going to, then stop complaining about it,
yeah,
right?
exactly. Interesting. All right. At this time of the show, remind us how we can contact you, please.
Well, the best way is 702 372 8620. That's our local number here in Las Vegas. And you can also go on the website at coco matchmaker.com to reach us and fill out our form, and we'll be in touch with you, and we'll get you in for a free consultation and a 1 hour or so appointment, and then we can get you into the club. It's very, very easy.
Beautiful. And is it the same process for both men and women? And is it the same prices? I know some dating services have it less for women or not, just curious.
It's the same prices for men and women who are coming in as members. Now, if you're joining the dating pool, that's a lesser price, and we can also put you in that
Got it.
way, which is more, a benefit, because you're going to be dating our members.
Got it. Now, you also mentioned the coaching process. So, what are some of the things you're helping your clients with? Where do people, fail, or where do people need to succeed, or need, twerking and tweaking? I should say the word, not twerking. They could twerk if they want on their date, but no, right? Little tweaking.
No twerking allowed.
Where do you see? Oh, yeah. Is it one of those? Like, I know it's right. Some people say no kissing, no sex, no. Is there any no's, like any rules like that you put out
Well,
there
we absolutely have rules. We like everyone to give compliments. We like them to be respectful of their date and pay attention to their date when they're out at dinner,
on
not
their
press.
phone or anything
Yeah,
like
not
that?
on their phone, not flirting with the wait staff,
Oh, gosh.
and you never know. Even if the date is not someone that it's not a perfect match, they're not gonna marry or go to the altar with. But the thing is, they might meet someone else through that person. So it's kind of like a networking process. So the reality is, you have to be respectful, give compliments. We always recommend that. Don't talk for the men, the egos. No woman wants to be bored about all your extracurricular activities, if you know what I'm saying, and your
Totally. Yes.
sports.
I've been there
And
before. Yes. Yes.
yeah, we don't give the phone numbers out, so that's the rules, even though the men do try to ask for them from the girls. But the other thing is, there's no sex until you're in a monogamous relationship. So those are basically our rules, which are very reasonable.
I agree. All right. Thank you for that. And do you
Oh, you're
want to
welcome.
share some more of your stories, any client stories with us? Walk us through some of this. This is fascinating because everybody wants love, wants to find love.
Right. Well, we actually had, our age is from 21 and up, okay? And usually we're dealing with, let's say, 25 and up from there. So we had an older woman come in, because we do deal with seniors as well, of course. And this woman was great. And we worked out a payment arrangement plan with her. And what happened with her is, she was in remission from cancer. So I took her out to a local store that sold wigs, and we took about 20 years off her life by image styling her and getting her the proper wig, and it was fabulous. So we
Oh,
do a lot of different things to help people, whether it would be makeup or wardrobe styling or image styling. All that's par for the course. Not everybody needs it, but we're here for them if they are. Another story is, I had a gentleman, and it was someone that I knew well enough that there was no issue with. So I flew one of our bikini models in from Utah, and we got her a room. Of course, he paid for it, but he's not going to the room, because this is not escort. This is strictly matchmaking dating
uh-huh.
service. And we set up the whole weekend, and they had a fabulous time. And we set up all the restaurants, all the reservations. The photographer came, take pictures, the roses, the whole 9 yards. And they wound up having a great time together. But this is the extra steps that we do for our clients. We had one of our executive clients was in Hawaii, and we hooked him up with one of our gals, and they had a good connection. And what happened was, he wanted to send out a gift. So we called up our local Godiva and sent a whole basket out to her. So we go the extra mile. We do different things for different people based on their needs and their requirements. That's what makes us more full service. We're not just here to not help you, because we help you every single step of the way. We want you to be successful and hit a home run. We don't
Yeah.
want you to be left on your own. And like you said, being anxious or nervous about the date, we just want you to relax and we take care of the whole thing for you.
Oh my goodness. I love this. And
Thank
clearly
you.
this brings you joy. Now, are you setting, you just mentioned you flew someone in. So if someone had a type of person that they like, and you mentioned the guy found someone, you brought someone in from Utah. So that's true. So
Right.
your dating pool is open to the United States though, or like
Yeah.
anywhere, or okay.
Right now, I mean, if you're in the United States and you happen, let's say you're in New York, okay, and you happen to come to Vegas often, something like that we can do. Right now, we're gearing on the West Coast more just because this is where we're
Yeah.
based at the current time. Not saying that we wouldn't expand afterwards, but basically on the West Coast, we're working now. But if you frequent Las Vegas, or an example, somebody from California who might come into Vegas and then they might go to Scottsdale, as long as we have the people to send them out with, that's why we want to do it this way, because there's a lot of people who travel for business. I mean, I had one guy that was in my club, and we set him up with a gal in LA, and he met her at the Beverly Hills Hotel and had luncheon with her and so forth. So this is all very possible because people do commute and travel and so forth, and we want them to have their partners wherever they are.
Ah, beautiful. I love it. I love it. Well, what else do you want to share about the matchmaking process and about why you stand out?
Well, I think that the first thing is we're not online, so you're not meeting Dr. Zhivago. You're actually meeting a real person.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first thing. You know who you're talking to because they've been profiled and screened.
Screened.
Yeah. So
What
that's
is that profile and screening process? Just curious.
yeah, it's just paperwork that we have and some interview questions, application, and we go through a whole profiling screening process, which, like I said, it takes about an hour. So it's fairly simple, but we diagnose them during that process and determine what their needs and requirements are. But it's not, I don't want to say it's a full background check because we can't be liable. You never know what someone's going to do the next day. So we don't do it
Mm-hmm.
that way, but we do a screening and profiling on them. So they are members and they're paid, and we have all their identification and verification on all of that and where they're working, etc. But the other agencies, like I said, basically they're giving you a number and you have to call and you're on your own. And we don't operate that way. This is more of a blind date where you're going to a public space, usually a restaurant, sometimes restaurant and show in fabulous Las Vegas, Laguna, wherever you are. And you meet the person. And that's how we do it, you know? And
Good
then we
old
offer our,
fashioned meeting. I love it. I love
yeah,
it.
exactly.
And is there
And the
like a
men pay for the dates, by the way, just so that you know.
good? I like that. No happies, nothing like that. Good. So then how does that work too? Are you like if they both now do they both call you after, and how do you decide if you want to go back out again? It all runs through you for how long? Where they you would let them go on their own.
Okay, so that's a good question. What happens is they call me or I will call them and we do a follow-up consultation. How was the date? How was the dinner? How was the food? How were they dressed? What was their conversation? Whatever questions we may ask them, but we delve into the date and we see if they're a match. If they want to go on a second date, then we set that up for them again. Now, usually not set in stone, but usually on the third date, we will release the numbers and they're on their own, and we're always here in the background to work with them or help them in any way. But that's basically how it works. So we definitely do a before consultation, talking about your dress, what to say, what not to say, what the person's all about, give them some inside tips and information and advice. And then we do the follow-up consultation.
Interesting. Good, good. I love that. So wow. So usually the three dates. That's awesome. This is
Right.
exciting stuff. I mean, I've never done the online dating, the everyone does like the swiping, the Bumble, the this, but I feel like they're meeting like crazies out there. And you hear such horror stories about this. And it's so funny because I was wondering, good old fashioned matchmaking, that's the way it goes. And I love to hear this because, you having such expertise in your field and having, the ingredients to a successful marriage. Again, I know everyone has their issues, been married 30 years, but it's amazing. But what are some of the things today do you find your clients, fighting with? Is it work-life balance? Is it why are you seeing a lot of singles? And what is their most common complaints about, the other party?
Well, I think that there's a lot of singles for a number of reasons. I think things have changed, obviously over the years. Marriage and divorce is so much easier than it used to be. And divorce, people, that used to be a very big no-no. And today, about
Yeah.
50% of all marriages fail. And I think with singles, one of the biggest problems is either they're not being proactive and putting themselves out there. When you go to a Starbucks, when you go to the dry cleaners, when you go to the grocery store, wherever you are, wherever you're going, you always have an opportunity to meet people. They're not being proactive. They may have a negative, not all singles, but some of them may have a negative stance. Oh, I'm not going to meet Mr. Right. Or they have just so much in their head that they're failing to get out there and meet the right people. And they're failing to see the positivity, the positive things, attributions that they bring. And the other factor is they're not being realistic about things. You have to look in the mirror and say, what do I really bring to the table? And what can I do to better myself so that I'm the best I can be to get into a healthy, happy relationship? So they have to realize it is work.
Now, I got to ask, are there men out there who still would love to have a wife stay home, take care of the house and family, or are a lot of the men nowadays want that woman to have a career?
Absolutely. There's men. I'm glad you asked that. I've got a 35-year-old right now, a software engineer that's looking for a wife, looking for a family, and would love a stay-at-home mom. And he travels the whole world, and he's a virtual, he works virtually. So he's able to do a lot of different things, but he is exactly looking for that. So there is definitely the old-fashioned males. And it's also with him in this instance, he's willing to have the wife work if that's what she wants to do. So he's flexible.
Got it. Got it. I was just curious how that works nowadays. I feel like everyone's working, both males, both females. And I feel like that's putting a lot of strain on relationships because not everybody can find someone because everyone's so busy working. And I feel like it's changed the dynamic. Like I wish we had that old dynamic back. I've always been a worker since I was 12, right? And I'm 46 now. And it's like, I wish I could be a stay-home wife and that my mother was the homemaker and she always felt embarrassed about it. And then I'm like, looking back, I'm like, wow, that's the hardest job ever. I mean, it's,
Absolutely.
I commend that. And I really feel like I hope society goes back to that because I know both parents are working, then the kids are in daycare, they're with nannies. It's like, I don't know what's better for our children, everybody's different, but it's interesting I feel like old school values and things should come back. All right. Oh my gosh, we're out of time. Oh my gosh, how do we contact you? Please share a website, phone number, any social media pages we need to contact you at.
Yes, I would love to hear from everybody and we can help you all. 702-372-8620 is our direct line to Coco Matchmaker dating service. And our website is www.coco-matchmaker.com. And you can fill out the form on the first page and check out our website, and any questions, we'll be happy to work with you and help you in any way we can.
All right. Thank you so much. Pleasure meeting you. And hopefully we will connect again. Okay.
Sounds great, Jill. It was wonderful talking with you.
Same here, Coco. Thanks so much. And to all of our listeners and viewers, stay tuned. We'll be right back with more.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.